Hello, I'm Dan from ACE Rentals and Sales, and today we're going to be taking a look at this 2023 Thor Rize 18M. I'll be showing you everything on the outside and then the inside, so you'll be ready to rent when you come and visit us. First, we're going to take a look at the dimensions of this RV here. So we just like to say it's 12.5 feet, just so you're cautious of places like parking garages and drive-thrus. Just keep this height in mind when you decide to go through any of those, or rather not go through them. We have our width, we like to say, is 10.5 feet, again, just to make sure, be safe, and it's about 18 feet long. Now for this RV, this will be how you fill up your gas. You're going to want to open up the driver's side door, and then you can pull this open, and then here's your gas inlet right here. Now this will just take regular 87 gas, so no premium or diesel. Now down here by the driver's side, we also have the inlet for the propane tank, which is actually welded onto the chassis of this RV. You can turn it on and off here, so when it's flipped to the red, that means it's on. You can leave it on since your fridge runs on propane when you're not plugged in. This will also be for your hot water heater, your furnace, and your stove and oven. So again, you can leave it on. It'll last about a week before you'll have to refill it. And if you do have to refill it, truck stations and campsites will do it for you. Next to that here, we have our TV cable inlet. We'll give you a TV cable, so if you're at a campsite where you have cable hookup, you're just going to hook up this wire in here, and then the other one into the post at your campsite. If you don't have cable hookup, that's alright. There's also an antenna in this RV, so you can just find local channels through the air instead. Next to that here, we have our power cord inlet. This RV takes 30 amp service. And when you're plugged in, everything will be working. That'll be your TVs, your microwave, your AC units, and your outlets. This RV comes with its own sewer hose in this little compartment here, and I'll show you how to dump out the tanks right now. Here we are in the back of the RV. I have this sewer hose. All you're going to want to do is plug it onto this outlet right here, just like that. And you're going to stick this end into the sewer at your campsite or wherever else you're dumping. From there, we have this lever right here. When it's pulled out, it's open, so if there were anything in the waste tanks right now, it'd be coming out due to gravity. So all you want to do is pull it out once you hook this up at your campsite, and when the gauges inside tell you that the tanks are empty, you're just going to push this back in like that. Also point out our hot furnace exhaust right here. Just expect it to be hot, of course, and don't put your hand here. Now in the back of the driver's side, we have two inlets here for water. We'll give you the hose for both of them, but there's a clear distinction between the two. So this is the freshwater inlet. This will fill up the tank on the RV. So if you're driving, you're not at a campsite, you want to use something that uses water, like the sink or the shower or the toilet, you'll be taking the water off of the tank, and this will be how you fill it up. That's opposed to when you're at a campsite, you want to take the campsite's water instead of your own. So this will be a direct inlet into your pipes. You want to hook it up in here, and it'll take the water from the campsite. Coming around to the back of the RV here, we have a few things. First, I'll point out the storage on the right side. This here is our spray hose. You can hook this up to this little outlet right here. This is sort of like an outside shower, so if you want to wash off like sand or dirt before you head inside, you can use this hose for that. We also have a switch for the water pump on the outside, so we can use that for the outside shower. You just want to flick that on and off. And this one over here is just a porch light for the outside. Of course, we'll also supply you the power cord. Again, this is 30 amp, and most campsites will service 30 amp RVs. We'll also supply you a bag with all the hoses and cords you'll need. In here, we have this black wire, which is your TV cable I was talking to you about. And we also have this white hose, which is your freshwater and your city water hose. While the dumping outlet I showed you is for the sink and the shower water, we have our toilet water in this little compartment here. You just want to push these buttons down, and then you get this small little box. You can use this blue lever right here, pull it out like this, and then once you take it fully out, you can just turn this out, unscrew the cap, and then just pour this down the sewer. Once you're done, just make sure it clicks in, and there you go. Now we're going to come over to the passenger side of the RV. There isn't much here, but we do have just some small wall outlets right here. You just want to make sure that you're plugged into a campsite or the generator is running for these to work. Down here we have a propane outlet, so if you have an external grill at your campsite, you can just plug it into here. It'll take it off the propane on the RV tank, and then you'll be all set. So that concludes the outside of this RV. We're going to head inside here. Right at the entrance of this RV, we have our control panel, which is the most important part of the inside. This will tell you everything you need to know about the RV. Right here, it's sort of like a tablet display. We have our home page right here, which will tell you just a little bit about everything. So we have the tank levels, what lights are on, what temperature it is, etc. We could go down this menu to different specific options for this RV. Little teardrop looking icon here. And this will be your tank levels. So you can see right now the freshwater tank is a third full, and the gray water tank, that's your sink and shower, that'll be empty. We can also turn on the water pump this way, and we can also turn on the tank heaters. Once I turn on the water pump, that means you can get water from any of the faucets. You should only have this on when you're taking water from the tank. So if you're plugged into city water, you don't need to use that. If you are going to a place where it's below freezing, you can use the tank heaters, turn that on. It'll use a bit of the propane to heat up the tanks so they don't freeze over. Next up here we have our awning. So all you want to do is just press this button to extend it out. You just have to press it once. And once it's fully out, you can press retract and it'll bring it back in automatically. Next up we have our lights menu, so you can just press any of these buttons to turn on and off the lights. The bottommost icon here is for the fans. So we have one in the kitchen and one in the bathroom. You just have to press this. And now it's turned on. Going over to this lightning icon will be for the generator and the propane. So you can see how full the propane tank is here. That's your LP tank. And if you want to turn on the generator, you can hold down start here. So now you can hear that the generator is on. It'll say starting here, and then this meter will tell you how long the generator has been running total. So you can see it says 0.8 hours. You can use this meter to tell how long you've been running the generator. We recommend you turn it on for no more than 3 hours at a time, and then you're going to have it off for about 2 or 3 hours. The generator is basically a substitute for when you're not plugged in at a campsite. It's going to be running the same things that would run when you're plugged into the 30 amp outlet. The only thing you should worry about is not to run the AC and the microwave at the same time. If you do that, it'll be too powerful for the generator and it'll cause it to trip. With the generator on, we can now turn on the AC. That'll be the little thermometer icon here. You just want to press this button, and the unit is right above my head here. The mode here, if it's cool, that means it's using the AC, as opposed to just using the fan. And then you can also turn on the fan speed to low or high. To turn off the generator, you just want to hold down stop generator right here. Above the control panel, we have our hot water heater. So once you press this button once, you're just going to turn the dial clockwise once over to this thermostat. And once it's flashing, you're going to press the button again. You can see it says off, which means the hot water heater is off. You're going to turn it twice over to hot, and you're going to press it again. This will use propane to heat up the water. It'll take about 15 minutes, and you only want to leave it on if you want to use that hot water. Once you're done, you're going to press it again, turn it counterclockwise, twice, back to off, press it, and now your hot water heater is off. Here we have our sofa area with this table that is adjustable. So we can pull it out like this, we can turn it like that, and we can take it off completely with this little latch right down here. You just want to flip this out like this, pop, you can take it off like this. We recommend you just stow it away over here when you're driving. This sofa also turns into a bed, and I'll show you that now. So there are two separate sections for this. These pull out. So first you just want to take this latch and just unhook it, just like that, and then this will pull out. Once those two sections are pulled out, you just want to lay the cushions in this format, and then this is your bed. I'll also point out that there are two seat belts here. In the cabin, I'd like to point out three things. We have our smoke detector up here. We have our switch for the house battery here. The house battery is basically just a small battery that'll charge just like the lights or the awning. It's for very minor electrical things. So it'll be powered when the engine is running, or when the generator is running, or even when you're plugged into shore power. Down here we have our switch for the house battery. The house battery is just a small battery underneath the RV that'll be for very minor electrical things like the lights or the awning. You can leave it on just as it is right now. It'll be charged when the engine is running, or when you're plugged to shore power, or if the generator is running. And beneath the sofa we have our fuse box and circuit breaker box. We'll give you some extra fuses in the front. Over here we have our fridge and a little freezer up top here. The fridge and the freezer are going to run on the propane when you're not plugged in, so when you're on the road. But once you do plug into a campsite, it'll automatically switch over to electricity. So no matter what, your fridge is going to stay on the whole time. I'll also point out we have some extra table space just over here. Onto this kitchen area here, I'll start with the stove, which is going to run on the propane. You just want to take this little knob, push it down and set it to light. That'll emit the gas. And then you're just going to push down on the sparker here. And then now it's on. Once you're done, you're going to wait just a few minutes before you put the top back on, just to prevent the propane from getting trapped in there. We also have a standard kitchen sink here. And we have a standard house microwave up here. Just make sure not to run the AC and the microwave at the same time when you're on the generator. We also have a fire extinguisher down here. And in this little envelope, we have those extra fuses I was talking about. We have our registration and we have an online manual. You can access that just by scanning the QR code on the back here. In the back, we have our wet bath here. We have some waterproof storage over here, and I'll just point a few things out. We'll give you some of these little balls of solution for the toilet, just in case the smell comes up from the black tank. You can just pour some of that down there in the toilet just to freshen it up. And we also have RV-specific toilet paper. You're going to want to go to a campsite to get RV-specific toilet paper, or you can just go to the camping section at Walmart. To my right here, we have our shower, and we also have a little sink in here. As far as the toilet goes, to flush it, there's a little blue button right here by my thumb. You just want to push that down there and it'll flush it. You can tell how full the black tank is with this little sensor here. If it's green, that means it's empty. It can go half green and half red, which means it's about halfway full. And if it's red, that means that little box in here is full and you're going to have to dump it. Using the blinds is simple. All you have to do is just tug on it once to bring it back up, and then tug on it again to bring it back down. There's also the window. You just want to squeeze with your fingers here and pull it out like this. Up and over here we have a lot of privacy curtains for the windshield, we have some for the side windows, and we also have some for the back wet bath. Finally, in the front, it works just mostly like a truck. On this display here we have our radio, you can connect your phone with Bluetooth, and if you go to this menu we also have a rear view camera. You can leave it on when you're driving, otherwise when you put the RV in reverse, it'll pop up automatically. And apart from regular seat adjustments, this passenger seat will also flip around with this little lever right here. You just have to make sure you're parked for that to work. And by my left hand here we have our parking brake, so to engage it you're going to pull it up like this, and then to release it, push this button, bring it back down. And that'll do it for our 2023 Thor Rize 18M. I've been Dan from Ace RV Rentals and Sales, and have a great trip.